Society thrives in a fun and creative culture. Thus, a state as such, which is the intended nature, it has nothing to do with government, for government is nothing but self-governance, the kingdom of self, being in control of one's own mind, the monarch. You may say love or fear are the determinants for society, but love is nothing without courage, creativity, and fun, frankly, just nature. Without nature, there is nothing natural. All becomes denatured, all becomes unnatural. Some may be confused by these words due to their sample size application for understanding. However, what is to be said is that nature does not stop at love, nor does it at anarchy or freedom, nor does it at anything but seeking fulfillment of the intended blueprint of life, the intention. And the nature of the blueprint of life is to assure the protection and preservation of life. For all God speculated by man is to do this, and again, this has nothing to do with government. Freeing the human condition requires understanding nature, which includes ridding of statism. Thus, government is non-existent. One would eliminate statism out of their own life because they would know it would otherwise denature or suppress their human nature. In other words, one would awaken to their human nature and realizing they own themselves and nobody has the right to rule over them. It is their natural-born right and responsibility, taught time and time again by the horrors of democide as by the blueprint of life, showing the good and bad, however, for the good. Am I saying there is a slant in the worldly favor for good? Yes, because just as you would think fear is strong, love is stronger, and it always is. Do not deceive yourself that it isn't, for such is the first step to succumbing to an delusive state called government, as opposed to the awakening, beautiful teaching state called nature. Think of a world of government as a world of growingly less teachers, therefore a world of less growth, less nourishment, less knowledge, less freedom, less morality, and so forth, as knowledge is key right after love and natural law expression. The teacher is of conversation. In other words, the expression, the external expression, thereof, the internal expression, the multiplicative expression of the positive expression. With more possibility includes the possibility of non-suppressed, non-masked chaos. We see the world more as it is. We connect with nature more directly. Therefore, the teachings come more directly as common sense. These points are more easily then understood. Hence stands as reason why those closer to nature or those of greater teaching backgrounds understand this knowledge better than others. Why weren't these teachings upheld? Well, because they were never put into circulation and good people permit exemptions to wrongdoing. We must also be accounting for bodies of health if they are able to think or if they are emotion driven, right brain extremism, or social psychological control. The masks of society are everywhere in the suppression of nature, and it most particularly affects the social status of the world. These masks, now you may see, are not only physical at times, but mostly intellectual and spiritual, may you say. What is being covered up is information, sure, but what is being completely hidden is knowledge for sure, even though it's all around us. Just as what is being covered up is knowledge, sure, what is being completely suppressed is action toward truth based on knowledge, for sure. It's the layers of masks created by mass amounts of people, influenced by very few people, in an otherwise maskless and equal by nature abundant world ecosystem, not ecosystem. It's always come down to the obedience of the world, to which they let masks cover their faces, their nature, their world, their life. Therefore, it matters not what good they do in their life if their very nature is being breached upon, yet excused by their own demise. Indeed, the masks were their own choice, for their complaints are nothing. Their voices are getting covered up more and more. Once in manifestation, it is hard to de-escalate. Alike, once famous, always famous, and so-called celebrities will continue to be obedient too, for they are part of the same pyramid you and I are illusion fixated into. The only thing that makes them different is that they have a smaller pyramid of their own. But despite this, they can make some change, shall they choose to disobey in the name of nature, but their false sense of power and ego will likely run their life, as does all who attain power, to which within itself is a denaturing aspect. It is far too often a problem that those who have influence do not create the bigger impact that they can truly make. They were swept by the flow and don't intend to touch it in its motion for their own good, often ignorant of the possibility beyond the current flow into a greater, more impactfully, objectively better one for the world flow. See, you may hold great influence around knowledge and expect the action to come naturally set off by the knowledge, and it will, but not nearly to the same degree of sharing said both knowledge and action thereof, and encouraging action in the greatest of ways, both big and small, everywhere, all the time. For the so-called truth community will have millions in support of the rooted knowledge, yet fail miserably in actually changing the world, all because of this. Now back to the point at hand. See, if one is never to rule over another as by rule or nature, presuming such role and having everyone abide to such presumption will put someone in an obligated feeling position to which they feel they must embrace such ego, such left brain dominance, with no question as to if it denatures, or they'll tell themselves it's for the greater good, with no question of what is the greater law, what is truly in charge, what is meant to be, what makes them any more special by human rights, what it will manifest into, and so forth. Thus, government must be associated with non-existence, mass obedience or acceptance of wrongdoing or natural law violation, must be associated with aspects thereof statism as to be associated with slavery as by its own nature, and nature must be associated as the way life is meant to be as by the blueprint, like the anatomy and health of the body, self-governance being the most sustainable, the prevention of democide and the prevention of mass evil, the promotion of fun and creativity and expression. So where does technology or human-made creation fit into this? Well, the same logic applies. Keep statism and robotic denatured aspects of society away. Keep freedom and expression within all. Physical masks apply to that of technology. It could be used for good or bad. People decide for themselves always to what they wish to conceal from their own lives or not. They shall simply do one thing: promote and integrate with morality, as opposed to legalize and enforce by threat of violence with government. For such knowledge of that good and bad constitutes that masks will only really be used for good by their own wisdom and public-grounded understanding, not because someone random or corrupt told them it's good and they must obey and not learn, just listen. Nature asks you to both listen and learn, and you don't have to do either, but you should, because it is the true master, just as it has been quoted and learned from repeatedly and affirmatively that it is the true teacher, the true physician, and the best artist. And need a mask from nature? It's called your immune system. It is a free built-in body filter that has something called natural intelligence. It is able to work with everything and defend you and ultimately teach you, if only you work with it. For after all, You are to listen and act with your gut. Your gut is your immune system. Got guts? Drop the mask already. Be human. Drop the masks of all. Ask challenging questions. Just say no. Unleash your inner creativity. Be fun. You already are, as you've always been, free. Just accept it now to realize all the potential the world has, all that nature provides. For the world of nature is never gone if there are folks living among and willing to defend. To defend. Your gut helps make and defend you. You must be your gut to help make and defend the world. For you are thy food as what you eat, and digest as by the gut, and thy food is thy medicine often for the gut. The cultures to which changing culture ultimately helps change the world. The war on your health is a war on you, but the war is over if you defend your health, and the biggest manifestation of harm is only brought thereof in the existence of government, as by statism, as by natural law negative expression. Focus on the root cause, the real war against nature. It is man trying to be nature, and disregarding and denaturing its force of what is ultimately non-violence by accusing and giving way of the excuse of use in violence and slavery. We make money, we make government, we make time, we make war against our own species. See, real currency is the fruits of labor. Real government is no government but family and voluntary communities and control of self. Real time is circadian rhythm. Real war is none but what we identify. But this is the only war if you see it as it is above all else, for an end to this war is then the end to all war. Dangerous freedom, they call it, however much they want you in fear of it. You shall know it is optimal peace, and it is the teaching of nature to be embraced. So I ask you to please accept the wisdom regardless of me. If you suppress your voice upon such wisdom, you suppress the voice of nature. For you are the messenger, you have purpose in nature, and no mask is of born given nature. Ground yourself to start saying no to the unauthorized demand. Otherwise, it'll be harder to. That's all you got to do. Then walk away and live your life. Upon unleashing the masks of all, government is slavery, nature is the answer, and we are change.